Once upon a time, long, long ago, there was a peaceful kingdom with green fields, blue rivers and happy people, and everyone loved their kind king and gentle queen. But there was one thing missing in their happy life. They had no child. And every night the queen looked at the stars and whispered, "I wish I had a baby." And one day the king said, "My queen, let us go to the enchanted forest. They say a magic unicorn lives there and can make wishes come true, and so early one." Morning they rode their horses into the deep forest, where the trees were tall, and the light was soft and golden, and after many hours they saw a shining unicorn with silver hair and bright eyes, and the king and queen knelt down and said, "Oh, great unicorn, please bless us with a child." And the unicorn smiled kindly and said, "Your hearts are full of love, and love makes miracles." And with a gentle voice, the unicorn said, "You will have a baby girl, and she will light your world with joy and courage." And soon after that, the queen had a baby girl, and the whole kingdom rang with bells and music. People danced in the streets, and the king said happily, "My daughter will be called Violet." And from that day on, Princess Violet grew up strong and brave. Not like other princesses who only wore pretty dresses and waited in tall towers, because Violet loved to run, jump, ride horses, and train with swords. And the king said, "My daughter should learn to protect herself and her people." So Violet learned how to ride fast horses, how to fight with a sword, how to use a shield, and how to stay calm when danger came, and she trained every day, ate healthy food, and listened carefully to her teachers, and people often said, "She has the heart of a warrior." And for many years the kingdom lived in peace. The sun rose every morning, the markets were full, and children laughed. But one dark day a secret messenger came to the castle with fear in his eyes, and he said, "My king, our neighbor kingdom has broken the peace treaty. Their army is coming, and they want war." And the queen gasped. The king looked worried, and the people began to whisper in fear, because their army was small and the king was sick and weak. And that night the queen said softly, "We must ask King Tom for help. His army is strong." And the king sighed and said, "I fear even his army may not be enough, but we must try." And Princess Violet heard this and stepped forward and said, "Father, you are not well. Let me go. I will bring help, or I will not return." And the king looked into her brave eyes and said, "I trust you, my daughter," and the queen hugged Violet tightly, and the next morning Violet put on her armor, took her sword and shield, mounted her horse, and rode away, and people watched her with hope and fear. And on her journey she passed forests, rivers, and small villages, and in one village an old man stopped her and said, "Princess, do not go over the mountain. A fire dragon lives there." No one returns, and Violet answered calmly, "I fear nothing when my people are in danger." And she rode on, and soon she reached the dark mountain where the ground was black and dry, and nothing grew, and the air was hot, because a dragon had lived there for thousands of years. A dragon named Fiona, and though people feared her, no one had ever truly seen her face. And Violet stopped her horse, took a deep breath, and walked toward the cave with no weapon raised. And she said in a clear voice, "Honorable dragon, I bring no fight, only respect." And she placed flowers at the cave entrance, and slowly a huge dragon head appeared, eyes glowing, breath like fire, and Fiona sniffed the flowers, and for the first time in many years she smiled. And she said, "No one has ever been kind to me." And Violet bowed and said, "I only ask for one night of rest. I must save my kingdom." And Fiona felt something warm in her heart and said, "Come in, brave princess." And that night Violet told Fiona her story about her people, her parents, and the coming war, and Fiona listened quietly, and in the morning Violet thanked her and promised to return. And then she rode on to King Tom's castle, but when she arrived and asked for help, King Tom laughed and said, "Foolish girl, my army will attack your kingdom too." And before she could react, his guards captured her and locked her in a tower, and Violet shouted, "You will regret this." But the king only laughed, and far away Fiona felt the princess was in danger, and she flew across the sky, her wings darkening the sun, and she landed before the castle, roaring with power, and the soldiers dropped their weapons in fear, and Fiona breathed fire into the air, not to kill but to warn and king. Tom fell to his knees, and Violet was freed, and she said, "Your power ends now." And she locked King Tom away and took command of his army. And the soldiers, filled with shame and respect, followed her. And together with Fiona flying above, they marched back to Violet's kingdom. And when they arrived, the enemy army fled. The people cheered, and the kingdom was saved. And the king and queen cried with joy. And later the king said, "Only one man stayed loyal, our army chief Peter." And Peter bowed and said, "It was the princess who saved us." And when asked for a reward, Peter said, "I admire her courage and heart. I wish to marry her if she agrees." And Violet smiled and said, "Yes." And they married, ruled wisely together, and lived in peace. And Fiona returned to her mountain, grew flowers, raised baby dragons, and never harmed anyone again. And people told the story for generations, saying, "True strength is kindness, courage, and a brave heart."